people ask me all the time about what I believe, and of course that's what I'm trying to explain while I'm talking, and many people of course are skeptical about the idea of anything transcendent and say transcendent and eternal. But that can also be addressed from a psychological perspective, because I would say, well, if you have an ideal of any sort, how is that not transcendent? It transcends you, that's the first thing, and it doesn't exist in reality, it exists in a place of possibility. And believe me, man, we treat places of possibility as if they're real, because people will call on you, you know, about your possibility and your potential. They'll say to you, you're not manifesting your full potential. And you might say, well, what do you mean by that? Potential. It doesn't exist. It isn't here now. You can't measure it or weigh it. You can't get a grip on it. And they'll say, don't rationalize. You know perfectly well what I mean when I'm talking about your potential. And so we could, and you do, and everyone does, and everyone knows exactly what that means. And so that's a metaphysical reality that we'll immediately accept as real, and also castigate ourselves for not fulfilling, and others too, like, because you're just not happy when the people around you, especially if you love them, don't fulfill their potential. You really feel that something has gone wrong. And so there's a transcendent reality and potential. And then when you hypothesize an ideal that you might pursue, which you always do if you pursue anything, right? Because to pursue something means you don't already have it. You're pursuing something that doesn't exist. You're probably not pursuing something that's worse than what you already have, because why the hell would you pursue it, right? That's completely counterproductive. So in the mere fact of your pursuit, you posit a transcendent reality that you can journey towards, that's more valuable than the reality that you have now, that's predicated in some sense on something like an eternal verity or an eternal truth. It partakes in the ideal. And so we have a relationship with the transcendent. Now, if there's something holding you back, and we'll see this when we get to the story of Lot too, if there's something holding you back, even if it's dear to you, you have to let it go. You seriously have to let it go, because there isn't anything more important than progressing forward. And cheap sympathy, cheap empathy, cheap nostalgia, none of that is sufficient. None of that will work, because the consequences of not putting things together immediately are dire, and there's no time to wait. God only knows what will happen to you if you put your house in order. Certainly things that you do not currently regard as possible will happen. And the more you put your house in order, the more things that you regard as impossible will happen. And it might be the case that if you put your house together sufficiently, things that were of miraculous impossibility would happen to you. Well, and there's no way of knowing until you try it. But there's no way of being sure that it's not the case unless you do. And my experience has been that, I don't mean just personally, I mean that the world is a remarkable and mysterious place. And the relationship between the nature and structure of the world and your actions is indeterminate. They may be more tightly related than you think. And I don't know how to square that with the fact that, well, you're obviously in a mortal body and constrained by all sorts of serious constraints. and none of that can be trivially overcome. And I don't really understand how there can be that seriousness of mortal constraint and the infinite potential that also seems to characterize human beings all at the same time. But then I don't really understand anything about the nature of reality, so that's just one more mystery to add to the pile. So